Look back to spot. They might claim you're weak, but you know that you're not. Winners always thrive under pressure, don't you dare to stop. This is a test given to you by destiny to prepare you for what's coming and to strengthen you mentally. To get what you want, you gotta fight for it breathlessly, desperately chase what you dream of. That is the recipe. Focus. You got the focus to get it. Every moment counts. Never lose faith. You will reach the top. Focus. In your blood it's embedded. You are a beast chasing dreams day and night, all around the clock. Focus. You're making sure you won't stop, even though you got a lot weighing really heavy on your mind. Focus. Deep down in your heart, you know that you're not a quitter. You will bleed till you reach the top. Overwhelmed with the stress, feeling the pain and the happiness, that's the road to success. What if I told you that those feelings are necessary for you to be able to truly progress? You're not the same as the rest. While everybody is faking, you're chasing after your quest. You're becoming obsessed. You got one goal, freedom above everything else. Focus. I know that you're tired, but at the other side of persistence is all you desire. Can you feel it? The fire inside of you is burning eternally. You are inspired. Prove you're differently wired. Use all of that pain as the fuel for that fire. Hardwired to success. Future's coming, you know it. If winners write history, you'll be proud that you wrote it. Focus. You got the focus to get it. Every moment counts. Never lose faith. You will reach the top. Focus. In your blood it's embedded. You are a beast chasing dreams day and night, all around the clock. Focus. You're making sure you won't stop, even though you got a lot weighing really heavy on your mind. Focus. Deep down in your heart, you know that you're not a quitter. You will bleed till you reach the top. Moving and moving all the way to the finish. You're proving that bruising is nothing, cause the bruise is diminished. By improving your movement, you keep proving you're always winning. You completely deserve it cause of all the pain that you've been in. And now you won't stop, you've become an unrelenting force. Was lost, but you finally found your course. Cold swamps and all the mud made you very strong. Snow tops are the destination that you're headed for. Came a long way because even when doubted, you never gave up. Gave in, but bravely counted. Every time that you fell and was being heavily bounded, you decided to get up and keep climbing the mountains. So be proud, hey, you made it far. Now you finally get the sad things, what they truly are. At the time they have seemed like they'll be a scar, but the time has shown that really they are your guiding star. You got the focus to get it. Every moment counts. Never lose faith. You will reach the top. In your blood it's embedded. You are a beast chasing dreams day and night, all around the clock. You're making sure you won't stop, even though you got a lot weighing really heavy on your mind. Deep down in your heart, you know that you're not a quitter. You will bleed till you reach the top. You got the focus to get it. Every moment counts. Never lose faith. You will reach the top. In your blood it's embedded. You are a beast chasing dreams day and night, all around the clock. You're making sure you won't stop, even though you got a lot weighing really heavy on your mind. Deep down in your heart, you know that you're not a quitter. You will bleed till you reach the top.
Alrighty. Hey guys, hey, welcome to Switch. How to switch from a poor employee mindset to a rich entrepreneurial mindset. We're speaking to the coaches, we're speaking to Julie, Michael, and Lisa recently, and I was like, what are the biggest challenges that our clients are faced with in the quantum business coaching program right now? What are the challenges that people are faced with? You know, we're halfway through the year. People are struggling with finances or health or relationships. People have different issues and challenges, and they all agreed that it was about mindset and about being able to kind of recognize that we are not our business. So I want to take a moment to welcome everybody. I've just noticed that Zoom have completely removed the Facebook Live option, so you can't even live stream to your Facebook profile anymore, which is interesting, but that's all good. I'm going to record this and I'm going to give everyone access to this. So if you're watching live on Zoom, we've got the chat box open. Feel free to say hi in the Zoom. And just post in the Zoom where in the world you are, what kind of business you have, and also if you're in the business coaching program, hiring a VA through us, etc. I can see we've got Oban on here, we've got Craig on here. Daphne, good to see you. Grace, Julie, Justina, Lisa, Michael, Ray, Richard, Tanya. Good to see you guys here as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame about the live stream, but it looks like in the last week they've removed the Facebook live stream completely from Zoom. I'm sure something will pop up or come up in the very near future and a workaround with that. So guys, say hi in the, yeah, we've got Lisa, how you going? Craig, how you doing? Yeah, awesome, cool. So I'm going to record this. I'll upload it to YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. If you're watching the replay, upload it to Facebook, welcome, or another platform, welcome as well. When I put this together, I really want to put something together that I had new content, new information, even for like Julie's been with me for 8 years, Lisa 3 or 4 years, Michael a couple of years. I really want to create a training to really empower you to go from that employee mindset, that scarcity mindset, that poor mindset, to that abundant creation entrepreneurial mindset. Because the truth is, entrepreneurs are not born. We're molded. Leaders are not born. Well, technically, we're all born, but we're not unborn because that would lead to the apocalypse. But so I do want to take a moment to say thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to spending, it's only going to be a short, sweet one, probably about 35, 40, about 45 minutes. And Justine, good to see you guys here as well. So who here would like to be able to unconsciously create more of an abundant mentality where you're not reacting to your environment, you're not reacting to your business. And no matter what happens in your business grows with or without you. Would you guys like that? If you'd like that, say yes, give me a hands up. Yep, cool. So a little bit about this. We are going to talk about some of the foundational stuff that I talk about in my book, From the Streets to a Millionaire. If you don't have a copy, you can go to Amazon, get a hard copy, you can get a free copy, digital audio on the new funnel. And yeah, awesome. And if you're watching YouTube, feel free to interact, or Facebook, feel free to interact as well. So it's very simple. What triggered this personally for me is I've read a couple of books. Who's ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad or Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki? He talks about how to go from the employee or self-employed mindset to becoming a business or investor. A book that was more profound for me personally was a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, Gerber. And in this book that he wrote 25 years ago, which is about how long ago I read it, about 22 years ago, he talks about how that many of us that decide to launch a business go through this process called an entrepreneurial seizure. Does anyone know what an entrepreneurial seizure is? Entrepreneurial seizure. An entrepreneurial seizure is this. So let's say, for example, you have a chef and the chef is working. Why can I not see my video here? I can't see any video. Just going to try and get my video up here so I can see them. Yeah, I can't see any videos. I don't know what's going on here. Let me stop share and reshare for a second. Go like this. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I can't share my screen and see everyone's video right now. I've never seen this in 8, 9 years of using Zoom. Let's see if I can work this out. Yeah, no, I can't see you guys. That's okay. I'll just imagine you guys say. So an entrepreneurial seizure is this: you get a chef, the chef is working for a restaurant and he's an employee or he's on salary or he's even a contractor. And one day he wakes up and goes, you know what, I can do a better job than these guys. I'm going to open my own restaurant. Or you get a hairdresser's working for a salon, doesn't like her boss, decides to launch her own business. But when they open up their own salon, they open up their own restaurant, they open up or launch their own business online, they then realize that, well, hang on a second. I don't really know much about business. Two, I don't know a lot about business, if I know some, or I have no experience. Or three, my mentality and mindset was conditioned from a young age to be an employee. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. How do we make that shift from scarcity, employee, to I am my business, to abundance and being able to create a real business and dissociate from that as well? So that's really what this is about. If you haven't read Rich Dad, sorry, you know what? Scratch Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't read Cash Flow Quadrant, part 2 of the 3-part series, you haven't read the E-Myth. The E-Myth is brilliant. Highly recommend, encourage everybody to read those. Who just jumped in here? Julio, welcome. Kimberly, welcome. Kimberly, Client of the Week, welcome. Good to see you guys here as well. Yeah, Zoom's doing some weird things. I can't see you guys. I can't live stream even on my personal profile, but we're going to dive in and do this. So this will be an epic training. And by the end of this, you'll all have some ideas, awareness. I believe the first step in any kind of conscious change is awareness. You become aware of the fact that, hey, I need to make a change. I want to make a change, or this is the change I need to make. And second is to make a decision. So I believe rather by the end of this training that you'll all have a bit more information, insight, aha, moment, epiphany, something in this session we go, well, hang on a second. That's why I'm stuck. That's why I'm not growing. Who here feels like your business isn't growing as fast as you'd like or wants it to grow faster? Who would like that? You guys like that? Yeah, and it's mindset. So I dedicated my life for the last 24, 22, 23, 22 years to personal development, understanding mindset, and flipping from an employee mindset, scarcity mindset, poor mindset, to a rich entrepreneurial mindset. And it takes time. It's not something you can do overnight. It takes time because we're all conditioned. So I'm going to start with the foundational stuff that you've all probably heard me talk about before if you're a student of our programs. And that is our critical period. And the fact is that let's talk about the stuff that you've heard me say before, but repetition is another real skill. That we grew up during this period called the critical period. Carl Jung, famous psychologist, equal to Freud, probably more preferable than Freud these days, more relevant, is he called it the imprinting phase. That growing up somewhere between the ages 6 and 12, our conscious mind is developing, and it's developing so fast we are learning machines. The problem is we're not just learning all the good stuff, we're learning all the shit as well. And throughout this period, we have 5 different brainwave levels. I'm just going to dive straight in, by the way. We have 5 different brainwave levels, and the highest brainwave level is known as gamma, which is if you've been diagnosed clinically, apparently or allegedly with ADHD, you spend a lot of time in gamma, just might have sleep apnea or sleep issues or things like that, or an active mind, active pineal gland. But during the critical period, the brain spends most of its time in a level called theta level. And theta level, what that is when we're most suggestible. It's when the brain is most suggestible. In fact, if you've studied hypnosis or understand hypnosis in any way, shape, or form, hypnotists aim to get the brain not to alpha, not to sleep, but to theta, just above alpha, because they're highly suggestible. So when you're a child, if you look at the children on the screen right now and you're at that age, and that little girl there with the yellow singlet looks at her mum and says, "Mum, does God exist?" And mum says, "Yes, God exists. Here's the Bible." And she will probably more than likely form those beliefs. And then you got the boy there with the grey shirt. He looks at his dad and says, "God." He says, "God." He says, "Dad, the aliens exist," and he says, "Yes." It's probably going to form that belief. So the 4 key components throughout the critical period that we form at the unconscious level are beliefs, values, fears, and also values, and also our habits, right? So we then take that into our adulthood, attach that to identity, and that's who we believe we are. So the problem is that who here grew up with rich parents? Who grew up with rich parents? No, who grew up with poor parents? We were so fucking poor that on Christmas, often we would have charities donate food hampers just so we could eat. That's how poor we were, right? It's like a fat mum joke. I've heard me say that before. But most of us grew up in obscurity. Most of us grew up in scarcity. Most of us grew up poor. And I'm starting with the foundational stuff, the stuff you've heard me talk about probably many times. And I'll talk about in my book. Welcome if you're just joining us now. Okay. And then we attach it to our identity. We're taking to adulthood. So we've all been conditioned unconsciously, and most people don't realize it. Now, if you're listening to my voice right now, you're on this call live or replay, then you probably realize that's the case. So how do we uncondition ourselves and then rewire our brain to go from scarcity to abundance, from reaction to creation, from a poor mindset to a rich mindset? Because if you look at the industrial age, why was the industrial age created? The last 250 years, the powers that be, the Rothschilds and et cetera, and I could keep going on, the Rockefellers, they created this matrix where they're conditioning good employees to create a great workforce to apparently and allegedly, which is starting to fail, to create a society of workforce and work people. That's the industrial age. So in the industrial age, that's when the school system started, and so we were taught to go to school. And what would happen when it was time to go to class? A siren would go off, right? And then if you failed, you'd get a fail, right? You'd get an F. And if you worked with others, yeah, it was called cheating. We were conditioned. The school system traditionally through the industrial age was created to forge employee people and condition them at the unconscious level psychologically to be good employees. So this has been going on for hundreds of years. It's not a conspiracy. It's common knowledge now. And all of us went through this process as children without us knowing it because we're innocent, we're sweet, we don't know any other different. We're kind of, there's a naivety to it, right? But now we're all waking up to this, especially since the 80s, we're all becoming aware of that. Well, hang on a second. This whole system's been created to forge employees, but we're all here because we're unemployable. Who would agree here that you're unemployable? Who would say you can't work for someone else? It's not, you're unemployable. Yeah, where are my unemployable people? I'm totally unemployed. My last job was 25 years ago. I did my first, I started my third year chef apprenticeship. I got into a punch up with the head chef, realized I didn't want to work for someone. I was unemployable and I wanted to make money on my own and be my own man, if you will, many years ago. Okay. So you've got to begin to understand that we all grew up hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees. If you want to make money, go get a job. And that we want to get good grades, go to school, get a good education, maybe go to uni if you're really smart, work 40 hours, 40 years to help someone else become rich, get married and have kids, get a white picket fence in there somewhere, retire, maybe go to Africa as a retirement trip, and then die. Basically, that's what we were sold. But if you're listening to me right now, you don't buy into that plan, you want a different plan. But if you listen to me right now, you also recognize that there is unconscious limitations in your mind holding you back. Who feels like sometimes you've got one foot on the acceleration and the other foot on the brake, and it's like you're doing donuts or circles or getting your results? It's because of this unconscious conditioning growing up. Now, for most of you, we spend a lot of time on this, and I'm going to talk about some extra things and give you some strategy to realign that. Yeah. So now that we're adults and we become aware of, well, hang on a second, I don't want that. I recognize this is conditioning. How do I unlearn that and recondition my mind? And the first thing you've got to understand is that there's going to be resistance. That you're going to, when you launch a business, who felt overwhelmed? Who felt stressed? Who felt overloaded? Of course, because we live in a world that's so convenient and so comfortable. We live in the most convenient time in history. You can just go on your phone and order anything you want anywhere in the world as long as you have the money. Just order food or whatever. I just ran downstairs and got a tub of peanut butter and knocked back some peanut butter within like 7 minutes, right? Such a convenient time. So now you can begin to become aware of this conditioning. What are the limiting beliefs that are holding you back? What are the habits that are holding you back? What are the fears and doubts that you might have? What are the incongruent values? And even when you recognize and become aware of them, there's going to be resistance. Where does that resistance come from? That resistance comes from your ego. Who knows what ego is? What is ego? Let's get some interaction going here. Let me open up the chat box here. What is ego? When I say the word ego, what do you think? What is your definition of ego? And everyone's going to have a different definition. Ego is not a real thing. It's a normalization, what we call an NLP. Can't put into a wheelbarrow. What's ego? The survival self? Yeah, 100%. Pride? Pride can be a symptom of ego, designed to keep us safe. What is the ego? The voice in your head keeping you safe in your comfort zone? Yeah. Dr. Wayne Dyer, I love Dr. Wayne Dyer, late legend. Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say that it stands for to edge God out. And that the ego, there's many facets to the ego, but the part I want to talk about that's relevant here is the ego is the part of the mind that wants to keep you where you are. It likes familiarity. The primary role of the brain is a protective mechanism. And again, this is revision. We're going to start with the foundational stuff and we'll go from there. The primary role of your brain, not of your brain, of your mind rather, is a protective mechanism. And it's not actually to keep you safe. The primary role of the mind is not to keep you safe. The primary role is to avoid pain. There's a problem with that, right? It's called a command negation in NLP. If I say, don't think of me in a mankini right now, what are you doing right now? Thinking of me in a mankini. You're welcome. So the primary role of the ego from this perspective, because there's many roles, but what's relevant here, what we're talking about, is to keep you from experiencing pain. And the key the ego believes to doing that is familiarity. In fact, there's been many studies done that the number one survival mechanism of the brain is familiarity, not survival itself. The brain will work harder for familiarity than actual survival itself, which is quite interesting because the brain doesn't want to create new neural pathways. It's lazy. It likes familiarity. It doesn't want to do that. And so the physiological response, which some of you have pointed out, is that when you make a decision, or you go, well, hang on a second, I've got this limiting belief, or I've got this toxic behavior, or I've got this thing here that's holding me back, this scarcity frame. I need to make this change. I want to achieve this thing. I want to fix this behavior, whatever it is. The voice is the physiological response. Again, you've heard me say this before, that it'll create doubt because a confused mind's an inactive mind. So the ego likes to keep us confused, to keep us stuck where we are. It likes comfort, it likes familiarity. The truth is that you're all here because you want more. And if you want more, then you have to create what? You have to create change. Can you achieve more in any area of your life without change? It's not possible. So you've got to become to recognize one of the greatest skills you can all acquire is to recognize that you are not your voice. Like if you were all to pick up your hand or raise your hand and look at your hand. Everybody look at your hand right now. Everyone look at your hand. And move your fingers. Now, as you look at your hand, you're focusing on your hand and you're aware of your hand. A moment ago, did you know your hand was there? Did you know it existed? You did, but you weren't focusing on it. So there's a difference between awareness and focus. What we focus on, we feel. What we focus on expands. What we focus on, we attract, right? So the ego likes to cause us to focus, yeah, on the safety elements of avoiding the pain to keep us comfortable and familiar because it's easy. But as the saying goes, you can do us hard now, so life's easy later, or you can do us easy now, so life's hard later. Most people choose easy, but most people are doing this through compulsion. The biggest and the greatest lesson probably for this session is that most people are reacting through unconscious habitual filters and compulsion. It's one thing to drink coffee every morning. It's another thing to do it through compulsion. Are you doing something consciously? Are you breathing consciously, drinking consciously, eating consciously, making love consciously? Or are you doing it compulsively? Because when you do things consciously, that's when you can begin to rewire the brain. This is what brought around the science of neuroplasticity in the book Dr. Norman Deutsch talks about in The Brain That Changes Itself. So it's all about consciously directing your thoughts. And when you recognize you hear that voice inside your mind, you can't do that. You don't know how to do that. You're not good enough for that. Then you've got to tell that voice to shut the fuck up and sit down. You got this. So your hand is a part of you. It doesn't control you. You control it. But if you don't choose, everyone close your fist right now and then open it up. Close it, open it up, close it, open it up. You can do that consciously. You're not consciously directing what you want your hand to do. It'll do whatever the fuck it wants through compulsion and unconsciously. Your mind is exactly the same. And most of you have been conditioned through scarcity, poor mindset, obscurity, and it's reflecting on your business. And so you're doing all the marketing strategies and you're following our program and you're hiring VAs and doing those things, and you're not getting a result because of the ego. So you've got to learn to recognize when your ego is trying to stop you and create that resistance and to begin to direct your mind. The greatest way to do that is to take a moment to think. Has anyone ever watched an interview of Elon Musk or Richard Branson or Stephen Jobs or any of these guys? Has anyone watched an interview of someone like a billionaire or someone that's created massive abundance? I use financial examples, one, because that's why we're here primarily, but two, because they've created these incredible abundance codes unconsciously. Have you noticed when these guys are asked a question, what do they do? When they're asked a question, with anyone with a critical thinking brain that directs their own thoughts and their own mind, doesn't listen to ego, what do they do when they ask a question? Does anyone know? What do they do? What do they do when they're asked a pertinent question, an important question? What do they do? And do yourself a favor, go look at some of the interviews of the names I just mentioned. You'll notice they do it for very pertinent, important questions. Richard's got it. They keep quiet and think because they recognize in some way, shape, or form that we live in two worlds, outer world and inner world, and that in our external environment, when we receive a stimulus, that we can react unconsciously through conditioning, which is what a lot of you guys are doing in your business, which is why you're overwhelmed or stressed or you're contracting or whatever, rather than taking a moment to choose your response. In NLP, we call it responsibility, the ability to take a moment to choose a response. So you want to be conscious in your communication, not just with others, but also with yourself, and take a moment to reflect on the thoughts, on what the person said, and not react emotionally. You know, Julie Thompson and I, we had a moment a couple of weeks ago where we were working through some stuff for the first time in about 8 years, and I'm like, I need to sleep on it. I don't want to make decisions based on emotion because they're not normally. When you make decisions based on emotion in a relationship, how does that normally end? Anger, arguments, sleeping in separate rooms. I don't know. We can go on, right? Bad, right? That's a good word. It's bad, right? But that's what we do. And because the problem is the people we care most about are typically, generally, not always the people that trigger us the most because we care. We love them. So our partners in a relationship is a perfect example to take a moment to think, reflect, and consciously choose your ability to respond. This habit is a game changer, not just in your business, but with the relationship you have with your children, the relationship you have with your partner, the relationship you have with your parents. If you just, I don't know, who has somebody in your life right now where you just seem to like there's resistance and you keep like arguing, just it's like you're on a different wavelength. It's because probably you're both reacting emotionally, unconsciously, rather than taking a moment to choose the response. And it's harder for people that you care about most because there is emotion, especially if it's someone you love. So the key in business here, and one of the key lessons in this call, is for all of you to practice, and it's going to take time, to dissociate emotionally from what other people say and do. Kim, if you walked around letting what other people said and did determine how you feel, oh, my partner made me feel this way. My kids make me angry. No one can make us feel any way. We choose that based on our thoughts, our response ability, and then we emote accordingly. Only we are responsible for our emotions. No one can make me angry. No one can make me frustrated. Now, you might be sitting there going, that's bullshit. My children are so frustrating. I get it. I stepped on the fucking Lego, right? Or whatever. But you have the ability to choose a response. But it takes time, it takes practice. So my first challenge to each of you is there's two parts to this, is next time you're feeling emotional and you want to react through unconscious conditioning, is take a moment to reflect, think about it, and choose the logical choice, the words, the action, the behavior. This is key for business. If you look at the most successful people in business in the world, a lot of them are referred to as sociopaths because they've completely dissociated emotionally. I'll give you an example. Let's be honest, who gets a little upset or frustrated or disappointed when you take the time to book in an appointment and they don't show up or they cancel last minute, or who gets frustrated or a little upset or even sad or disappointed when clients quit? Have you ever had a prospect sign up and the next day quit? If you're getting frustrated, upset, or angry at any of those things, you are at reaction. And you're not using emotional intelligence to choose your ability to respond. The greatest skill that you can adopt here is to learn how to dissociate emotionally from what other people say or do. Whether people show up to the call or not, whether people sign up or not, whether people become a client or not, whether people quit or not. If you believe in abundance, how can you be frustrated or disappointed? It's impossible. Now, who has children? Who has kids by show of hands? Are you responsible for your children? Now, I don't have children. I'm not a parenting expert, but I understand communication, and there's a point here. Who has children? Are you responsible for your children? Now, legally, on paper, you're responsible for them as a legal guardian, but are you responsible for their behavior? Can you control what your children say, what they do, don't do? You cannot control it. Then it's not your responsibility. Okay. And Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about this a lot about just surrendering, not being a helicopter parent and just allowing kids to go through the motions as long as they're safe. Obviously, you got to look after them. They're not doing dumb shit. But we're not responsible for our children. We're not responsible for other people. And we've got to relinquish that. You've all heard me say this before. We cannot control what we get in life. We can only control what we give. And all we can give is four things. We have four powers to be the best we can be. BEST. Behavior, emotions, speech, and thought. God, source, the universe, whatever your belief system is, imbued us with four powers that we're responsible for. And if we take complete ownership and practice, harness every single day, choosing our own behavior through responsibility, choosing our emotions through directing our thoughts, choosing our thoughts through the responsibility. Yeah. And then also our speech. We all choose our speech. We're all in control of the words we say. Now, some people say dumb shit because we don't think about it because we're reacting through compulsion and conditioning. So the whole message here is to take a moment to pause. You know, a lot of people say you shouldn't go to bed angry with your partner. I disagree with that. Now, again, I'm not a role model with somebody, but sometimes we need time to sleep on things or to let the emotions go so we can take a moment to reply with responsibility. Sometimes that takes time. Yeah. We can only guide them in the hope that they do the right thing in life. 100%. Yeah. So again, the challenge, I want all of you to think about this and focus on this because you're all of you are guys in the program, you're booking more appointments, you're going to get people not showing up to the appointment. I used the example the other day. Who gets really excited when you sign up a new client? Who gets excited when you sell and sign up a new client? Yeah, you need to stop that shit, right? You want to know why? Because if you get really excited when you get a sale and sign up a client, what's going to happen when you don't get when you don't? You're going to get frustrated, disappointed, whatever. If you're emotionally reacting, you're never going to build a big business. You're just not. So this is an ongoing journey. It's something that we do every day for the rest of our lives, and it's just simply taking the time to reflect and recognize when we feel it a way we don't want to feel, take a moment to choose the words we want to say consciously, to choose the thoughts we want to think consciously. And there's a mastery to it. And it's not easy because the ego doesn't want to do that. It wants to keep you in the conditioning you're in. Okay. So that's the first thing that you want to practice. So notice tomorrow when you get frustrated. If I walk down the street and it starts raining, I didn't choose for it to rain, but I chose to be there. So whose fault is it I get wet? It's my fucking fault I get wet. I chose to be there. Oh, it's me. You know what I find really fascinating? When people go, oh, the weather is so bad today. Weather's not bad. If it didn't rain, we wouldn't be alive. Isn't that crazy? Or people go, oh, it's so hot. Then it gets cool and it's like, it's so cold. People love to complain about shit, right? And we attract more of it. So this brings us to another big message for today, and I think this is what prompted Michael, Julie, and Lisa to bring this up, is that most of you are not building your business because of this one paradigm that you all have. You have this employee mindset where you have this unconscious belief, whether you know it or not, that you are your business. And the problem is none of you have a real business. None of you have a real business because you've identified as your business, that you are your business. What do I mean by that? Most of you are in the position that your business is at the mercy of what happens to you in your own life. If you get sick, shit stops. Financial hardship, shit stops. The kid's sick, you have to take the kids to school. The whole key to building a real business with abundance and having an entrepreneurial mindset, and most of you don't have an entrepreneurial mindset, and I'm not having go, you just don't, is that you've got to position your business in a way that no matter what happens in your personal life, your business goes on. Julie and I spoke about this today. You need team, all of you need more team as quickly as possible. You need salespeople, you need coaches, you need like if you are sick for 3 months, how does your business continue? Craig, how does it continue? What do you need? Okay, well, I need a virtual assistant, I need an appointment setter, I need a coach, I need a salesperson. You need those people as quickly as possible. And you're not doing it. None of you fast enough. You're not. I spent 7 weeks in bed at the beginning of this year. The business still went on because I had amazing people. I had Ray, I had Noemi, I had these beautiful coaches, I had all these people. I've I've positioned my business, it can run without me. Next thing for me is to position my business where it grows without me. So my current role in the company is COO. Company pays me a salary of $180,000 per year. That's all. That's all I get paid per year from the company. Just under, actually. Later this year, I'll hire a COO on the books, pay them $180,000 per year, step into the CEO role, and they will be responsible for daily operations and the growth of business. Now I have a business that can grow without. So I want to inspire and encourage all of you to recognize you are not your business. And the problem is that you have a bad day. Oh, I'm going to put back my event. I'm going to let my VA go. I'm going to stop coaching for a month. That's all bullshit. That's just going to keep you stuck where you fucking are because you're all contracting, if that makes sense. So you've got to recognize you are not your business. Your business is an entity and a vehicle that is not reliant on you. And if it's just you, you have a job just over broke. Now, you might be thinking, I can't afford team, I'm not ready, or whatever. We're never ready. But that's what you should all be focusing on and building from a psychological perspective, that you are not your business. If you get sick, if you get travel, you got to take kids to school, there is a funeral, there's your business, there's people, there's clients, there's team, there's people in your business that are relying on the vehicle to perform. And if the entire vehicle is reliant on you, that's not a business. And you're just going to let people down and you're never going to get anywhere either. So I cannot tell you how big that is. It's huge. So you've got to start to recognize you are not your business. Position and create the business in a way that no matter what's happening in your life, you get ill for 3 months, your business should continue. So you got to ask yourself, what do I need to position that? Okay, do I need salespeople? Do I need more appointment setters? Do I need to do ads? Do I need funnel? What is it? What does it need? Well, I can't afford it. Well, and that's going to bring me to another point in a moment. Does that make sense? So I really want this to sink in for all of you. Most of you are not building your business because your business is at the mercy of your personal life. Your personal life should not equal your business. Your clients, your team, the people in it deserve better. And how much does it suck when you're ill and you feel like you're letting people down? I feel like I've let so many people down over the last few years with health issues, but I've done my best to create team and systems and things in place where we can still look after people. So ask yourself the question, if I was ill and spent a month in bed, how would I still service, continue to operate, and even grow my business? What do I need? What systems? What people? Start to put that together now. Because Craig Tolson, you love what you do. You don't want the business to work without you. Lisa Jow, you don't want the business to work without you. But you do want a business that can work without you. And you're all doing it too slow because of the own bullshit stories you're telling yourself. I can't afford it. I'm not ready. I don't need team. I don't have enough work. Bullshit. It's just bullshit that you're telling yourselves. That's your ego holding you back from achieving massive success. You got to move faster. Does it make sense? That was a bit intense, wasn't it? On a side note, bit of an interim. If you're enjoying this event, we've got an event coming up in a couple of weeks. The most important skill in building your business is sales. If you can't sell, you can't get clients. So not this Saturday, but 2 weeks from this Saturday, we're doing the Advanced Sales and Closing Virtual Masterclass, where I'm going to share with you how we get a 92% conversion rate, how to overcome any objection, how to always get a yes, the psychology of sales, how to build a sales team, and more. Who's already registered for that training, by the way? Have you guys registered? It's a free 3-hour training. It's going to go for 3 hours, 9 a.m. to midday, Saturday the 8th of June. If you haven't registered for that yet, I'm going to post the link in the Zoom chat. Register for that now. It's going to be an awesome event. Let's talk about the difference. Let's look at the difference between a poor employee mindset and a rich entrepreneurial mindset. What do you guys think? I want to get everybody involved here. Lisa, Mark, Michael, Friel, Ray, Richard, Tanya, Vedas, Kim, Lisa, Justina, Julio, Julie, Grace, Fiona, Daphne, Craig, Andrew, Aldrin. What do you believe is the biggest difference between an employee mindset and an entrepreneurial mindset? What's the biggest difference, do you believe, there's no right or wrong, between a poor mindset and a rich mindset? What do you guys think? Post in the chat. The ability to take risk. Yep. Growth mindset versus, yeah, scarcity, or what they call fixed mindset. Yep. I can't versus I can. Yep. What else? Long-term vision of change. Has the vision as opposed to be told. Rich are able to deal with more uncertainty and take greater risks. Yeah. Take more risks. Isn't it interesting? We all associate risk taking with entrepreneurship. Can they be calculated? Can we take risks where, imagine if you set up a business where if the worst case scenario happened, you're still set. I can go bankrupt tomorrow and still never, I'd still not have the stress. I can literally, I've set up myself financially, hedged myself financially. If I go bankrupt, I'm still set. I'm still good. Reasons versus results. Yep. Yeah. So here's some of the main ones that we could go on. We could probably make a list of 100, but here's some of the ones I think are pertinent. That seems to be the key word for today, pertinent, that I want to touch on right now. This is a big one. How many times have you spoken to a loved one or a client? How many times have you spoken to a client and the client's asked you, Julie, should I do A or B? Should I choose A or B? Poor mindset people that are in a scarcity mentality, always like, should I do A and B? There's a meme with the little Asian girl that goes, why not both? I can't tell you how many times I've said that to people. Why not both? The question is A and B. Now, we're not talking about two rabbits. I've got two businesses. Which should I launch? Let's launch both, and distracts me, and I can't focus on one. I'm talking about people, poor mindset people that have a scarcity mentality, believe they have to sacrifice one thing for the other. For example, poor mindset believe that you have to sacrifice quality for quantity. Who agrees you can increase quality and simultaneously increase quantity? Who agrees? That now, when we say poor and rich, what we're really saying is scarcity and abundant. We're not just talking about financial, we're talking about all contexts of life, relationship, health, all contexts and areas of life. My box is blocking the screen. Which box? What do you mean my box is blocking the screen? You shouldn't be able to see
There's
my
something
boxes.
wrong with your Zoom screen. So on your share screen with us, there's a couple of like dark patches over that's covering some of your slides.
Isn't that interesting? What about now?
There we go. Yeah, we can see now.
Can you still see the boxes now?
It's all good now.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, so you're seeing the silhouettes of my chat box and my, isn't that funny? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Well, thanks for letting me know. So you've got to create this mindset that you don't have to sacrifice. Who agrees you don't have to? Who agrees you don't have to sacrifice your health for your business? Who agrees you don't have to sacrifice connection and time with your family for your business? You don't have to. How do I spend quality time with my family and make money? How do I be healthy, not burn out, and build my business? How do I go to that funeral and still attend the coaching session? How do I drive my kid to school and still join the webinar? A and B. Most of you are doing A or B more often than you're not. I'm telling you now, this one simple thing, I tell you, got to recognize you do it so much. It's crazy how much people do it. Yeah, that box was my chat box. Thanks for letting me know it's fixed now. Yeah. Yeah, how do I make it work? So the first habit that you want to create is, and this whole webinar is built around becoming consciously aware of the thoughts you're having. When, should I do A or B? Oh, well, I can take my kids to school or I can attend the webinar. No, success doesn't recognize that shit. It's like, how do I take my kid to school and join the webinar? How do I have the life-saving, I'm joking, I won't say it, A and B. A and B, okay? Second one is, Poor mindset people work for money. If you're working for money, you're going to stay broke. If you're exchanging, what's more valuable, time or money? Time. Okay. When you put a dollar figure on your time, you devalue time, therefore your life. Okay. You cannot put a dollar figure on time. It's the most valuable commodity we have. So poor mindset person is, I'm going to work and I'm going to make money. But an entrepreneur understands that we work for impact and freedom. An entrepreneur understands I might have to do 3 months of work and make no money, but it doesn't matter because of the vision and the mission, and it's going to create impact and it's going to lead to my financial freedom. There's a massive movement of, oh, you should get paid for the work you do. Who's seen other coaches and gurus out there say you should get paid for the work you do? Don't do free stuff. Well, that's an entrepreneur, that's an employee mindset. We get paid for results. We get paid for solving problems. We get paid for helping people achieve goals. We get paid for impact, and we do that for our own freedom. Does it make sense? So recognize when you're thinking about working for money. Poor mindset person thinks I work for my business. A rich mindset person, my business works for me. Are you working for your business or is your business working for you? Your business is a vehicle that is a golden goose, and it should lay golden eggs for everyone involved, you, your team, and its clients. And if it doesn't, you don't have a real business. How do you create the golden goose to lay golden eggs, not just for you, but for fucking everyone? So the business comes first in regards to no business. Right now we've got, what is it? 100, I don't know, 150 VAs working, whatever. We're providing work for 150, we're providing work for 150 Filipinos right now. If there's no business, those 150 people don't get the food on the table each week. I love that responsibility, by the way, right? And that doesn't include our other team and our coaches and everyone else and the clients and everyone involved. What do we have? 500 or 600 clients and team combined? That's 500 or 600 people that are relying on the business as a golden goose to lay golden eggs. Okay, but so many people get caught up in the golden egg, don't they? Look at my golden egg, it's so beautiful. And then they cut open the golden goose to try and get more eggs, and then now there's no more golden goose. You don't work for your business, the business works for you. Scarcity, poor mindset people save. Saving money is a terrible habit. Now, as I said that, who else had resistance? Why? Because we're taught it's good to save. Now, 20, 30 years ago, it was good to save because of compounding interest in the bank and so forth. But here's the deal. Lisa, if I give you $1,000 cash right now and you hold on to it for a month, is it still worth the same amount? What if I give you $1,000 cash right now, Kim? Tomorrow will it be worth the same amount? It won't be due to inflation, yeah, and other economic aspects. It won't be. All fiat money goes back to zero worth. The whole COVID thing was about the great reset because the fiat system needs to cease. There's no way around it. The fiat system has to stop, which is cash. We have to become a digital currency. There's no way for this planet to move forward functionally with a fiat system. It doesn't work. It happened in Rome, it happened in Greece, it happened in Samaria, it happened, I can go on and on. It's like we continue. Saving money is a scarcity. I'm going to hold on to my money. I'm going to hold on to my cash. I'm going to hold on to it for a rainy day. For what? What rainy day? If you hold on to your money for a rainy day, what do you spend it on? Fucking rainy day. That's a problem, right? So you want to invest and expand. And the best thing you can invest your money into right now is two things. One is yourself, your own personal development growth. Become better at sales, become better entrepreneur, become better at business, learn about investing, learn about crypto, learn about property, learn about the share market, and expand. Use your money to invest. Now, I'm not saying don't have money sitting in the bank account. That's another conversation. My dad has a 1.5 million property paid off. Doesn't want to buy any other property, sitting on 1.5 million equity. I could talk for an hour about it. On paper is a millionaire, but sometimes struggles to buy food. It's just crazy to me that people do that, right? Scarcity versus abundance. I think that's pretty obvious what that means. A broke mindset person has a victim mentality. Life is happening to me, not because of me. And these three below the line behaviors of the victim mentality is one, excuses why they can't, two, blaming, and three, complaining. And most of you are complaining about shit and don't even know it. If you're thinking about something you don't want, that's a fucking complaint. And you don't even know you complained. 70,000 thoughts, give or take a day. How many of those are complaints? I guarantee most of you, probably a third, half, probably more. Growth mindset person reacts through conditioning, compulsion, rather than creates. I like this one. This is a personal one. Poor mindset person watches the news, scrolls the news feed, and watches other people's shit. Rich mindset person creates the news, creates the content, and creates it. So you need to stop scrolling and trolling the news feed. Stop watching the news. Stop reading the paper. Stop listening to the radio. Stop watching TV. Create it. Entrepreneurs are creators. Growth mindset person asks, will this work? Will this program work? Will this course work? Will this coach work? Will this VA work? Rather than ask, how do I make this work? Which Lisa brought up before. This one question has, I would say, out of all the things that all the conditioning I've done, nothing has helped me more than asking this question. How do I make this work? How do I grow through this? How do I make this work? How do I make this business work? How do I make this marketing strategy work? How do I make this client work? How do I make this program work? How do I make this funnel work? How do I make this website work? How do I make this? That one, that if you just like drill that into your mind, game changer. Broke mindset people avoid stress and overwhelm. They wish life was easier. Don't wish life was easier, wish you were better, as Jim Rohn used to say. Entrepreneurs, rich mindset people embrace stress. They want more stress. They want more overwhelm. They want more overload because that's how they grow above and beyond. As the example I use when I'm a personal trainer, I'll ask my client when I was personal trainer, how much do you bench press? I say 80 kilos, put on 90. How many reps do you do? 10. I make them do 12. I push them above and beyond physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually what they can do so they grow. Abundance is about growth. Can you grow and be depressed? Can you contribute and make a difference and be depressed? Can you be grateful and be depressed? It's impossible. Embrace the stress, embrace the overwhelm, and don't contract because most of you are contracting. Oh, I feel stuck, I feel overwhelmed, stuck. Good, fucking expand. But one of the top 3 lessons from this call is that most of you, when you feel overwhelmed, stressed, worried, fearful, whatever, or it gets hard, you contract. And what happens when you contract? You stay where you fucking are. Use it as an opportunity to grow. Next time you feel uncomfortable, next time you feel fearful, next time you feel overwhelmed, expand. Broke mindset people are financially literate. Rich mindset people are financial literate. They're learning about reading profit and loss statements. They're learning about the psychology of money. They're learning about currency. They're learning about economics. They're learning about gold. They're learning about crypto. They're learning about property. Every day you should be taking time, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, learn about money. Most of you don't even understand money, like period. All money is debt. And it's not cash is king, it's cash flow is king. Most of you don't even understand fiat system. Most of you probably don't even understand what the gold standard was. Most of you probably don't understand what's happening in the digital currency. Most of you probably don't even know that for the first time in 50 years, the United States don't have exclusive rights to purchase oil from Saudi Arabia. Most of you probably have never heard of the BRIC countries. You've got to take time to learn about money and economics, guys, because in the next 5 or 10 years, shit's going to get hard for a lot of people. And I'm not fear-mongering here. You've got to take the time to learn about money and to be up to date with what's happening economically globally. What's going to happen we have a US election this year. You need to know what's going on there because that's going to impact the entire global economy, which affects you. Now, you can't control that, but you want to be aware. It's all part of the financial literacy. I have an amazing book here on the history of money. I'll send it to you guys. It's brilliant to understand the gold standard. Like during COVID, when the gold standard back in the 70s, before Nixon got rid of the gold standard in America, if you took a loan out of $10,000 from the bank had to have $10,000 of actual physical gold in reserves in the bank. And then when he got rid of that, fractal banking was implemented globally in Western countries anyway, where if you were to loan $100,000, the bank needed to keep 10% of physical cash in reserves in the bank. During COVID, most of you won't know this, they deleted fractal banking. What does that mean? If Lisa Jowett goes to a bank and gets a $10,000 loan, they'll type digits onto a screen and create money out of thin air. And then where does that go? To Lisa's bank account. And now what can the bank do? The bank can withdraw that money and do what they want with it. They've given themselves 10 grand. Does that make sense? So you've got to understand money. And most people have no idea about money. Okay. Final one is broke people do not read. Many banks stopped accepting checks too. Oh, checks don't exist. Checks are gone. They're dead. Broke people do not read. Rich people do read. Now, we live in a world, a digital world where, to me, I listen to audios. I listen to 2 to 5 hours of audios every fucking day, religiously. For me, I go to the gym every day. I meditate every day. I have a couple of runs every day, a Cuban or two every day. I work fucking hard every day. And I do 2 to 5 hours of personal development every day, every single day. So you've got to read or listen to audios every single day around mindset, entrepreneurship, business, money, investing. Take the time to learn these things. Okay. I cannot tell you how important it is. And you're not dedicating enough to that, because especially if you want to, who wants to break free from the cycle, create generational wealth, break free from the cycle that is generations of broke people in your family. It's up to you to break that. Okay. So over the last 24 years, I've done a lot to work on my mindset, not just in finances, but in many areas. I have 21 certifications in different psychological modalities. The most powerful psychological modality I've done to be able to rewire my brain is neuro-linguistic programming. Anyone that has not studied neuro-linguistic programming yet, I truly believe it's the most powerful modality to understanding and learning your own mind, to rewire it and consciously direct your own thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior. If you want to raise and elevate your unconscious money blueprint, I believe everybody wants to become certified in neuro-linguistic programming. Ray is a master practitioner. Lisa, Michael, they're all practitioners of NLP. Julie's an international trainer. I became an international trainer 14 years ago. I truly do believe that everybody wants to become a qualified, at least practitioner of master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. And you can learn the skills from NLP to rewire your brain. I'm going to bring somebody on board who is a much more equipped to share the power of neuro-linguistic programming. I've known this woman for about 8 years. It's like a sister to me. We've jumped out of planes together. We've traveled together. We've done heaps of cool things together. She went bungee while I was there. We've run different businesses together. I coached her to build her fitness business, her online fitness business, and launch her NLP online courses. Now she's an international business coach with us. I'm going to get her to share a little bit about NLP, but also share her story of how she flipped from an employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset. Julie Thompson, are you there?
Yes, thank you very much. I really wanted to share. I'm so passionate about NLP because it was a game changer for me personally. I did meet Jason about 8 years ago, and it was about 7 years ago that I actually learned NLP. And I've got a 20-year background in business, so I'm in my 13th business model now, and so I've run about 13 different businesses over the last 20 years. And I can tell you something that changed the game entirely for me, and that was about 7 years ago. So from the surface level, from the outsider looking in, at the time when I came to Jason for business coaching, I was running a fitness business, but I very much had an employee mindset. And so at that time, and Jason mentioned something on this earlier when he was talking about the ego, and another part of our brain which operates very similar to our ego is what we call the amygdala part of the brain. And most people are very unconsciously aware of this, but the amygdala part of the brain is really the part of the brain that is designed to keep you safe, but it's also the domain of the area that stores all of your memories, all of your beliefs, and it's also the domain of your emotions. And so it's designed to keep you safe, but it also it operates off your learned beliefs and your learned fears. And as most people know, we are so heavily conditioned around fear these days, and especially if you were brought up in scarcity mindset, they are learned belief systems, they are learned behaviors, and they are learned fears that you had. And so the amygdala part of the brain starts to have a mini freak out if you put it into uncertain territory. So one of our basic human needs is certainty. And when you go into business, it's very uncertain out there. You've got to be willing to take risks. You've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to make mistakes. And we learn by those mistakes. But it's that amygdala part of the brain that keeps that sort of, starts freaking us out, and it will instill fear into us. But because we've had such a learned behavior, and Jason touched base on this about the school system and the conditioning, what actually happens to us at the unconscious level is we are so pre-programmed. Our brain operates like a computer. So when we talk about the imprint phase of life, it's like it's pressing a tape recorder and it is recording everything in our upbringing, and it basically plays that on auto repeat. So 80% of the thoughts that we have are repetitive, and 80% of the thoughts we have are also negative, and most of it, 95% of the time, is very unconscious to us. So what will happen is we will have an unconscious fear around success, or an unconscious fear of, are we good enough, or am I worthy? And we don't know that that's what's playing out in the background. But if your inner game and your inner dialogue is playing that out in the background, that's going to start sabotaging your outer game and what you're doing in reality. So basically, and this is where Jason spoke earlier about spinning the wheels, is you feel like, who here has ever felt like you're doing everything, you're trying so hard and you just can't seem to get there? What's actually happening at the unconscious level, the amygdala is kicking in and saying, hang on, that's probably unsafe. We're just going to produce just enough so you don't have a freak out here. And this is why NLP is so powerful, because one of the modalities we teach in NLP is what we call timeline therapy. And like I mentioned, the amygdala part of the brain operates off your memories. So somewhere deep in your neurology, in your mindset, you have these memories when they were created, at the time in history when they were created. And using NLP and timeline therapy, you can actually go back and rewire it. So it's rewired from the nervous system level. And then that's how you basically create a new clean slate, and you can reprogram the amygdala part of the brain. And that's why NLP really is so powerful. And it's not just the timeline therapy piece, but it's understanding the programs and the filters that are actually operating in the background. And you can start to rewire all of those programs. And now I basically teach. I've had so much success working with my clients through NLP. When I first learned it as a practitioner and then a master practitioner, I actually did, I first went out and I did about 80 personal breakthroughs with one-on-one clients. And we were changing their businesses, we were saving their marriages, we were helping them come off substance abuse, we were helping them come out of therapy and off medications. And it was so profound that I was absolutely dedicated, that believing more people need to know about this stuff. And so I became dedicated to teaching and certifying other people in the field. And I weave it into everything that I do. And now I'm operating my business, my NLP business is my core business. And I also operate 2 other businesses simultaneously. And so, but now I just understand that, like Jason said, business is simply just a vehicle, but most of us are so stuck by what's operating us. We are the person that's in the business that's operating, but whatever's going on for us unconsciously is really what's running the show for us. So when we can start to sort out the unconscious, that's when we can start to operate more from the outer game. So, and Jason mentions the inner game and the outer game all the time. And it's so super crucial, because you can't have one without the other. You can't have a strong mindset and not take the actions and do the strategies on the outside. So you need both. This is why the coaching programs work, and the strategies and the roadmaps and all of the things. But if your inner game is not supportive of that, or if you feel like you're not worthy, or you can't do it, or you're not deserving of it, or if there's any sort of fears or doubts or limitations there, trust me, we're going to say this, doesn't matter how hard you work or how good the strategy is, it probably won't work for you, because there's something deep in the unconscious that needs to be rewired. So if you do find yourself struggling, that's why we're here, and that's why we incorporate NLP into the program. So I hope that's super helpful. And if anyone ever has any questions, I'm more than happy for you to reach out, and I can dive a little bit deeper.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I also want to hear from the other coaches as well. Like NLP really is so powerful, as Julie mentioned, and And it took me a bit to encourage Julie to go online, and then COVID hit, and now everybody wants to do NLP trainings online. It's good to see more people doing that. But I'm just gonna, how do I get here? But also, I just want to take a moment to invite the other two coaches to share their story, because we've all got the story of going from, oh, I had an employee mindset, this is how we were conditioned. How did I overcome that? How did I reframe that? I want to invite Lisa Jowett. Lisa has been with us for 3 years, came to me again in the fitness industry. We pivoted online. She's an international business coach with us. Some of you guys are working with Lisa. Lisa is also qualified in NLP and has a life coaching business of her own. Lisa, would you mind sharing a bit about your story of, like, how did you go from, what was it for you that allowed you to, or switch from that employee mindset to the entrepreneur mindset, that poor to rich? Like, what was that? Tell us about your experience or story and how you flipped that.
Absolutely. So, excuse my voice, I've got a bit of laryngitis, but bear with me. So, I actually come from an upper middle class family. My family, my dad was a political advisor, my mum was a school teacher. They are very much in the system. So, for me, I was always a bit of the black sheep. I always wanted more. I was always actually quite creative, but I didn't actually make the move until I met my husband, because all of his family are entrepreneurs. So it wasn't actually until I met him that I started to have the courage, but I still had a lot of fear and doubt because of my upbringing. Plus, I was like an employee for like, I don't know, 25 years or something. So it was, but I knew that I wanted more, and I had that creative vision, and I knew that I could never actually do that when I was like working for someone else. And it was actually really, the thing that really helped me was actually Jason and his coaching, because although I wanted all these things, I still did have that fear. And to be honest with you, I still have to fight it because I'm so conditioned to it. So basically, the way I get through it is I literally do like meditation. I also visualize what I actually want from my life, because I know that I can't have the life that I want if I am an employee.
Well, thanks for your transparency and vulnerability. And I think that's the thing there. You cannot have the life that you want and be an employee. That's like, I don't think anybody can. Can anybody? That is ambitious, that wants more from life, that wants to break free from the cycle, etc. But thank you so much for sharing. One more person, we're going to wrap it up, because I did promise, I told these guys I wanted to have them share their story. So um, I also want to hear from Michael Scott. Michael came to me almost 2 years ago and helped him launch and build his online business. Got an agency business now, international coach with us. And I know he's worked on a lot of stuff with his mindset over the last few years. Michael, brother, good to have you here. Do you mind sharing a bit about your story? What did you do, and what do you still do to switch from that employee to entrepreneurial mindset?
Yes, just not, I'm a bit like Lisa. I'm from a corporate background. Probably a lot of people on this call are from a very corporate background, and a very structured, regimented life whereby just it's a safe existence, basically just a repeating the same day for the next 20 years. It's kind of what somebody told me recently, and it's a bit like that kind of, and you keep your nose clean, you get your 3% pay rise every year. But if you're an entrepreneur, all that goes out the window. You're actually moving away from that secure safety into the complete unknown. And obviously that's going to raise a lot of flags both within your body, because you embody that stress as much as your mindset. You can't divorce. So that kind of you have that physical reaction to kind of stress, and you're putting yourself out there and doing things that you've never done before. So when I first stepped my toe into entrepreneurship, God, 2018 now, so when I first started, is it was really scary. You get people saying, what the hell are you doing? Kind of all of this resistance. You've got resistance internally, you've got resistance in terms of people around you, relationships. You have maybe not have a supportive environment. Maybe some people on this call are feeling that right now. So all of these problems come up and they manifest in terms of You might be not showing up as you would, because you've got this baggage, because you've got this thing that's all about. Someone told me kind of recently, and it just hit me like a brick, in terms of you don't have business problems, you have personal problems showing up in your business. Just and that sort of said, you know, whatever you're going through in terms of what you're doing or not doing in your business, just look about what is that resistance that I'm feeling within myself, that I am not, and I'm not putting my forward. I'm not doing that live. I'm not doing that piece of content. I'm not showing up for my clients the way I want to. What is that resistance? Those personal problems, or those issues that are in your, that's holding you back? They're probably, as Julie said, those programs that we keep on running day in, day out, that are actually, they're not helping you in terms of actually hindering you to kind of be or live that ideal day. I have this, if you have a vision for yourself, and I have a vision of my ideal day in terms of what is that ideal day that I want for myself and you know, my family and kind of that. So those things are keeping you safe, is keeping you back from living that ideal day. I'll just leave you with that.
Don't have business problems. You have personal problems showing up in your business. That shit's gold. Write that shit down. It's so true. And that just adds to what I was saying before, is that you are not your business. I want everybody to remember that you don't have business problems. Yeah, personal problems show up in your business. I freaking love that. You are not your business. Lisa, Julie, Michael, thank you so much for sharing. I want to take a moment to say, everyone, thank you for joining. I know most of you, or all of you, are in our business coaching program, except for perhaps Mark anyway. We do have a quantum business coaching program where we take you through all the mindset stuff and help you build to 20,000 a month. I was going to close and sell here, but I think everyone's a client except for Mark anyway, so I'm not going to do that. But I will leave you with this. Who has done NLP practitioner before? By show of hands. Who's done NLP practitioner? And who's done master NLP practitioner? Yeah, if you haven't done at least practitioner NLP, Julie and I have a partnership, and we have our next course rolling out where you can get certified in August. And you get not one, not two, but 3 certifications. You get certified as a coach, which you can use as an official life coach. Number 1. Number 2, you get a certification as an NLP practitioner. Number 3, you get a timeline therapy certification. Whether you're a business coach, fitness coach, healer, therapist, life coach, or even an agency owner like Michael, I truly do believe everybody should be qualified in NLP. In fact, we're working out a way right now to get all of our VAs trained in NLP. If you'd like to learn more about that, reach out to Julie and I. We'll send you the details. I'm not going to sell that now. I've taken more enough of your time. I really hope tonight has given you some insights to perhaps just one thing, Richard. One thing, Kim, that you realize, well, hang on a second, I'm holding on to that, and that's holding me back. Because most people, as Michael put, have baggage, mental baggage that are holding you back. So, Grace, amazing Grace, you having dinner? Good to see you here. You should be making
My bad,
calls. Get to work. What are you doing here?
I want to switch my poor employee mindset as well. But yeah, boss,
Yeah.
I'll be leaving now. Thank you guys. Bye.
Grace, Aldwin, Andrew, Fiona, Vedas, Mark, Tanya, Adrian, Julio, Michael, Richard, Kim, Craig, Julie, Lisa. Thanks so much. Have a great evening. We'll have to get to the bottom of this Facebook live stream. I'm sure something will arise in the next couple of weeks or near future. So thanks so much. Appreciate it. It's dinner time. Thank you, guys.